Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. This is Pete A. Turner, executive producer and host of the Break It Down Show. Man, we have got a fantastic gift for all of you today. I'm outside my backyard recording this intro, so hopefully you'll enjoy the birds that are chirping in the background, how nice and wonderful the world is. And we offer to you, as our gift, the incredible life of Sammy Nestico. Sammy is a 95-year-old composer and arranger whose home instrument is the trombone. He is the heart and soul of swing music. He wrote a book called The Gift of Music, but truly he is a gift to us from music. Sammy is a ball of energy. If you go on YouTube and you watch the trailer for his documentary, you'll get it. If you watch him talking to all the young kids about music, you will get it. This guy is such a treasure. I'm so happy we got him on the show. I'm so happy that it worked out and he had enough left in the tank to do a full hour because he just barely did. Sammy is such an incredible person. He's worked with Quincy Jones, Barbra Streisand, Michael Bublé, Bing Crosby, Gene Krupa, Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Count Basie. I mean, he goes all the way back to the 40s making music that we all love. And believe me, you've heard his stuff. Over 70 shows he's conducted music for. He is such a fantastic, fantastic guest. These folks that are in their 90s that have lived through this greatest generation, they're just such incredible people. And I'm so happy to have them on the show today. Hey, listen, Merry Christmas, everybody. I appreciate you. Here's Sammy Nestico.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Sammy Nestico. I'm an arranger, composer. You're going to be listening to the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
That's right. Sammy Nestico is 95 years old, has worked with everybody in the industry, to include Tommy Dorsey, Quincy Jones.
I've worked, well, I don't have to say that. Huh?
Yeah, well, but this is your legacy. I mean, you okay. are...
The Break It Down Show.
Yes, the Break It Down Show. You wrote a book called The Gift of Music.
Yeah, The Gift of Music is this little book here.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. The big book, see, this is the little one.
Mm-hmm.
This is just... Now, the big book is... See that big black book there, blue book?
Yes.
See it? About the fourth one?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's...
Oh, the Complete Arranger. This is your other book.
That's the textbook.
Right. That's the one that... How many countries is that used in?
Everywhere. All over the world.
Around the world.
This is just stories, you know. Well, but that's a text.
Well, it struck me that you're writing about the gift of music, but you are the gift from music. Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from the Break It Down Show, checking in real quick to ask you this. John, Scott, and I all support Save the Brave with our time, our location, our effort, and our money. Each month we give a small amount. Do the same with us. Go to savethebrave.org, click on the Donate tab, pick an amount that you want to come out each month, and they will handle all the rest. I stand behind these folks. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show. Well, it struck me that you're writing about the gift of music, but you are the gift from music.
Oh, thank you. Well, the gift of, I'm not thinking it about me so much as the gift of...
Well, I'm thinking about it because you're right. You're not supposed to say that. But after working for however many years, since you were 13, you said you realized you were going to become a composer.
Yeah.
When you look back, just the body of work, 10 years before you were born, the Lincoln Memorial was first begun. Like, that's how far back your history goes.
Yeah, and I'm doing some music that was written 10 years before I was born in 1914.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that when I grew up. I started falling in love with some of the music. You know?
Right. When I think about a 10-year gap, like 10 years before I was born, Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and they died at 59. I was born in 70. It's still fresh in adults' minds, like it just happened the other day.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Isn't it something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have no connection to it.
I had such, I was, these kids today are no different than I was.
Right.
They hear something and they fall in love with it, and they're like, they ask the right questions. You know, they are enamored with music, and that's the way I was. Boy, I was in the swing era.
Yeah.
And you turn on your radio, that was America's music. Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Woody Herman, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, all these different bands. You know, that was America's music at that time. So it was a great way to grow up.
When you found music, and it sounds like swing is your home. Like that's where
Yeah, it's my home.
Okay.
Yeah. I see, even swing, even Glenn Miller, In the Mood, it's the tenor saxophone player. He's playing some kind. Tex Beneke's playing what so-called jazz.
Yeah.
It wasn't real good jazz, but he was playing jazz. See?
Yeah.
And I worked with Charlie Barnett, my first record, and he did Cherokee, Skyliner, all those things. Mm-hmm. And it was he was the first white band that was like Duke Ellington. Mm. So it was a real jazz white band. Most of them were on the edge, you know.
Yeah.
Some were.
So your history, and I don't want to, a lot of this stuff's available. Everybody should listen to all of the things that you've talked about online because it is fascinating.
Sure.
It occurred to me that a lot of the people that moved you, Glenn Miller, Glenn Dorsey, all these, you worked for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I did. I was just a boy, you know, growing up in Pittsburgh, 13 years old. I joined the Oliver High School concert band. Within a few years, I knew what I wanted to be the rest of my life. I just was enamored and fell in love with music. We had a nice high school band, you know, like the bands we have today. They didn't tolerate jazz. They didn't want jazz in the schools. And later on that came about. But it was just wonderful to be a part of what I call the true team sport. It's a true team sport because everybody's in there with the same goal in mind, to make this music sound. We're all listening to one another.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
We listen to one another. We learn from one another. And just being part of the chord or part of the motif for that the band's playing, you know. It was just wonderful. I fell in love with music, and I worked so hard. I practiced so hard to overcome, you know, the difficulties.
What did you play in the band?
I played trombone.
Let me ask you about this, and I'm going to turn this thing off.
Yeah.
Because this is already recording.
Sure.
It occurred to me that your music predates the electric guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So the trombone could be a soloing instrument. That's not Bolero, Tommy Dorsey. What is that? The Enchanted.
Tommy Dorsey made it a solo instrument.
Yes.
The golden trombone of Tommy Dorsey, see, and his golden trombone. Well, up until that time, it was ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. It was kind of a ragtime.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Dorsey came out and played this real pretty thing like a cello. Like it was the brass. It was the brass equivalent of cello playing, you know, in that register. And he played so gorgeous. And I fell in love with it. They handed me a trombone at Oliver High School and said, "You're now the first trombonist in the band."
Yeah. Okay, so how does a young trombone play? I mean, you read music, but you hear Tommy Dorsey. Can you
See,
He
that
plays by feel, doesn't
I
he?
did that all by ear.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to
I
get
would
to.
buy all these 78 records. Some of them were used jukebox records. They, yeah, but they were and I could get those. I think my mom gave me a $1 every 2 weeks or something, and for 70 cents, I could buy these old juke. So I would play them. And when I played them, I'd put my ear down. I could tell where Tommy was on the trombone, which position he played in. I studied. And later on, I played with Tommy Dorsey, and I said, Tommy, you gave me lessons.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. I said, yeah, you gave me lessons. And I said, I learned this from you, and so on. It was wonderful.
I know Tommy Dorsey was cool. I know the music was cool, but was playing trombone cool? Like, was it sought after?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's a different looking instrument, of course, and it doesn't press valves, so you have to have a pretty good ear, like a violin.
Yeah.
See, a violin presses. There's no frets like on a guitar has frets. Shows you where to put your fingers. Well, violins shallows the string family.
Right.
They don't have that. The same with the trombone. It's a slide, and you finally get your ear knowing where to put that slide to get the right note.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I still to this day, I'm just like I was when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
I just love music. It touches me so much. I'll watch a movie sometimes and tears come to my eyes.
Yeah.
I said, boy, the composer, the underscore, he did what was necessary.
Yes.
He enhanced the picture
Yeah.
and made me cry.
Yeah. It's true, though, the right note at the right time. I was thinking on the way over, I was listening to Tommy Dorsey play I'm Sentimental Over You. Everybody knows that. So even if you don't know the name, everybody knows it.
Everybody knows
it's
it.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was Harry James at one time was the greatest trumpet player in the world.
Right.
He was a trumpet player with Goodman, and then he became his own band. Had Gene Krupa. I subbed with Gene Krupa. He played with he played with, who the hell was it? He played with, I forget now.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. But those fellas all started their own band then, see?
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. All those bands.
Yeah.
And a lot of talented people.
Sure.
Today is entirely different attitude about it.
Yeah.
Approach to it, synthesized. A lot of it is digital and synthesized. But in those days, it was all...
Yeah, and one of the interviews I listened to with you, and I primarily listened to music as I prepared for you because that's what you were made from, but I still wanted to get an understanding. And you talked about how today's music isn't as melodic. It's rhythmic, but the melody and those things are missing from today's music.
Oh, yes. See, there's melody, rhythm, harmony, and rhythm. Melody, harmony, and rhythm.
Yeah.
That's mostly what... And I'm always thinking melodious. Tchaikovsky, even Stephen Foster.
Yeah.
They're still doing Oh Susanna.
All the time.
Isn't that amazing?
Camptown Races.
Because you can remember the melody.
Yeah.
So it was just wonderful. Today, you'll get a synthesized sound, but it doesn't move air like the bow over a string.
Yeah.
Moves air to your ear, So it's a different feeling. Some of the records today sound a little too perfect.
Yes.
They're synthesized. Whereas in the old days, in fact, when I worked at Time Life, I had a copy, some of the old records, and we redid them with new recordings. This was in 1970.
Okay.
I worked on there for quite a while with Billy May, and we were doing Time Life series, all these old tunes. We were bringing them back in high fidelity.
Yeah.
So they were, the strings sounded so different in live rather than synthesized. I like,
I'm with you. We do a lot of talk about music quite a bit on the show.
Sure.
And one of the things you can hear, like when someone has a really loose and funky bass line, like not only is the time loose, but also the strings are really loose.
Yeah.
And it's too perfect though. Like that's supposed to be dirty, rotten music, like live, and it's too perfect.
Some of the old blue things way back with Billie Holiday and, way back with the early black bands.
Yeah.
They weren't clean at all, but they had a feeling, they had that jazz feeling. It came from their soul, and you felt it.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of the older instruments, like a trombone's an old.
Sure.
But the pipe organ as well.
Yeah.
You can play sounds out of your pipe organ on your keyboard, but it will not move the room, the air.
Yes.
Like a grand pipe organ does.
The synthesizer has its place.
Yeah.
What I do, I add the synthesizer to the regular orchestra because it gives me a shower of colors that aren't in regular instruments. So I add them, but I don't depend on synthesized sounds completely to imitate, because some of the imitations, I hate synthesized trumpet.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I'm with you.
Synthesized saxophones sound just awful.
Well, we've had, I don't know if you know Mick Gillette, but he was like a champion of the trumpet for years and years. He played with Tower of Power. He's passed on, but he was one of those remarkable people that could just play it, and he knew the songbook. He could look at it once and he just knew it. And he said, when you have live horns, they will pin you to the back of the room. You can't avoid them.
You can't avoid it. And I tell the kids, the trumpet's the president of the band.
Yeah.
He's got the melody, that first trumpet player. So we listen. And then you blend.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's the music. I never get tired of talking about it because I'm still a kid with music, I love it. I've gone to so many high schools and colleges, and there's little Sammy. I said, there's little Sammy there. Yeah. That's the way I feel about the kids,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're passing on this gift.
Yeah.
When did big bands stop touring prominently? It used to be there was a big band in every big city, and big cities were smaller then too.
Yeah, and at one time, of course, they were the America's music,
right? And
then little by little, and then I remember I started publishing, I think in 1960. So I went to a little town up in New York called Delavan, and there was a they're still there, Candor Music, and we started doing what he called the head of the company called them stage bands. It's a jazz band on stage, So I wrote for those, and they start picking up in the schools, like them, and little by little, all over the world, they're playing my arrangements all over the world. I said, "Wow, we're starting something all back again," So that's what a lot of us here today.
When did you know you could make money for the rest of your life playing music? I mean,
I never thought about money. I just kept thinking some kid up in Oshkosh, Iowa, somewhere is playing my tune and saying, "Boy, this is nice,"
Yeah.
And what happens is you don't think about money, but it comes in when you're writing quality. If you really quality, good is good. Good is good.
Yeah.
And that's all I thought about. And the money came too. Then the money started coming, of course. I started publishing my own company even out of the, I have a big printing press there. And boy, we were pretty successful.
Yeah.
And it did make some money.
Yeah, it's you guys have to look at Sammy's career, and you will be gobsmacked because you've worked with Liza. I could do this all day long. Liza Minnelli, Frank Sinatra, blah blah blah, on down the line.
All the big.
Everybody.
Isn't that wonderful?
Isn't it? Right?
And,
yeah.
And when I was with them, I tried not to stay in awe of them. Just I'm doing a job. I like working with I want to show them I'm working for these people, this artist, maybe for the first time. So I want to impress them on how good I'm writing. I want to paint pictures. I want to paint pictures behind. If he's singing, "How deep is the ocean?" "Somewhere over the rainbow," I want to paint a picture of that in my music. And there's ways to do that. And Hollywood does it all the time, don't they?
Yeah, describe how that works.
Sure. Frank Sinatra with Nelson Riddle.
Yeah.
When he sings, let me see, "How deep is the ocean?" or whatever. And Nelson Riddle paints this beautiful picture, and the listener feels he's caught in that they attracted him. I like this. I like the whole idea of writing arrangements for singers, because they have lyrics that need exposed, and you don't overdo your music. You'll ruin the tune. You have to support rather than take over. If it's a vocalist, and that's what I try to do.
I think when you're saying that, I'm thinking about Bolero and how simple that is, but
Bolero?
you cannot escape that hook.
Yeah.
It's just.
Oh, yes.
It's perfect. It's not big, and it's just 22 minutes of da, 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 and then that simple snare.
Yeah.
Oh, and you'll sing it for 3 weeks in a straight. Oh,
yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at and then sometimes you can start the background. Beep a doo 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 doo. And then Gene Kelly singing, "Singing in the Rain."
Yeah.
Ba-ba-doo-doo. That's the background.
Yeah.
And it continues as he brings the tune in. Isn't that a cute idea?
It is.
And then he starts singing, "Singing in the Rain." That's wonderful. So there's all kind of little gimmicks you can use to make it attractive for the listener.
It seems like when I think about "I'm Sentimental Over You" and how it's lush, it's not big, but it fills up, and it actually now over time, decades later, it's become a bit of a time machine, where it takes you right to that moment. And I want to be in that big band. I don't just feel it; like I transport. If you allow yourself to. Does that make sense?
That reminds me, some of the kids say, "Boy, I wish we were back there in that era."
That's what I'm talking about.
I wish I was back there when they were first starting that era.
Yeah.
The swing era. Wow, what a nice thing.
Yeah.
I'd go on the weekends, every Saturday in Pittsburgh. They had the Stanley Theater to show movies. And then they would take a break of an hour or 2 hours and put the bands coming, and they would play on stage.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there completely enraptured.
Yeah.
And listening to and finally I ended up on the stage, you know. So.
Well, how many times did you pinch yourself and go, "I'm actually doing this"?
Yeah. I'm actually doing what I used to, when I was a little boy, admire those guys. I was hooked.
Yeah.
How wonderful. Oh. And then some of the artists I work with were very nice. They're just nice people. I remember this one time, I went to the backstage of the theater that I used to see on Saturday, see the bands on the stage, and the musicians are filing out. And I went up to this one fellow and I said, "Hi," he was a trumpet player, fourth trumpet player with Horseye. And I introduced myself and I said something about music. I don't know what, some dumb thing I must have said. And he said, "Kid, I don't have much time." He looked at his watch. He said, "Come with me." And we went across the street and he bought me apple pie and coffee and milk.
Yeah.
And bought me that. And I went home and said, "Mom, you keep telling me the musicians are bad. He wasn't drinking. We were drinking milk and pie. That's all we were eating, you know.
Yeah.
I was so proud to tell her about this nice fella that did it.
Yeah.
So when I do things for people, I think about him.
Yeah.
I think about what he did for me. And that means a lot to kids.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Their hero is just an ordinary guy who loves music like they do and can talk very easily. You know, I love the whole idea.
He's got a big smile on his face. It is an important thing. I go back every year to my high school, and I talk to the kids who were me 30 plus years ago now, and I tell them, I'm like, if you want to make music, you can. Maybe you don't make money at it, but you can make music the rest of your life. You know, and if you get lucky, you do make music, and you do get paid. But you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Then I said, maybe I'd like to try to write a couple things.
Right?
Well, I was a trombonist, so I wrote everything for trombone.
Right.
And then little by little, I started adding some instruments. And I remember some of the fellas saying, it's pretty good, Sam, but, you know, here and there. So this, I learned from making mistakes.
Yes.
I call it the hit and miss. Hit and miss style, you know. So I never had private lessons on writing.
Right.
I did on trombone, but not on writing.
Yeah.
I just did those on my own.
How long is the list of composers that write from the trombone for the whole orchestra? How many of you are there? It can't be many anymore.
Well, Nelson Riddle was a trombonist. Billy May. I was a trombonist.
Yeah.
And we're writers.
Yeah.
I think because you have to respect the notes. They don't come that easy. They are, you know. So we became pretty good arrangers, you know. And there are, I think I used to say that trombonists make good arrangers. I love the idea of a string choir.
Sure.
You know, the strings or woodwinds, clarinets, flutes. Oh, well, how sweet.
Yeah.
How tender you can make things. Or you can make things bold with the brass, you know. And I love the French horn sound.
Yes. Okay, good.
It's classy.
Yes.
It's classy. You hear the French horns in the movies, especially the Western movies.
Yeah.
You know, and they're soaring over everything.
Yeah.
What a classical sound.
When I think about French horns and the master of the maestros of those, I think of John Williams.
Oh, isn't he one? I worked with John.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What a surprise.
He called me up to do some things when he was the director of the Boston Pops. And he called me up to do things like Chicago. He was doing on a summer show or something. And then little by little, he asked me to orchestrate things for him. So I worked with him. Boy, he is my favorite.
Yeah.
He's my favorite Hollywood musician.
Yeah.
He is. And what a nice person. He's very soft-spoken and so talented. God, we haven't heard the Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
Sure.
All those are marvelous. He was just wonderful.
A lot of his music he'll take from 60, 70 years ago and almost like modern times where he'll sample a bit of somebody, you know?
Yeah. And he has that sound he puts together with the orchestra.
Yeah.
That's his John Williams sound, you know?
What's the Sammy sound?
That's hard. I like big, fat brass. I love that sound, especially for jazz, because Count Basie had that big ensemble, and I would wait until his piano solos were over, and when I would go from that light piano solo to the big brass, oh, what a sound!
Yeah,
and they swung. You know, and the brass, the voice, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, and 5 saxophones, all playing that big sound. I would say that's but I love tender things too. Sure. I've done some very nice string tender things. that I've been asked to write a record movie theme. I did, and Andre Castellanos recorded some of the things that I had written, taken from the movies. Boy, I like those things.
Yeah.
They were nice. I have records of them, so I'll give them to you if you'd like.
Sure.
Somewhere.
Back to my question. What's the Sammy sound? What do you think it is? Big fat horns and
I think I love the big swinging sound of Count Basie.
What does that mean? I mean, because when I think of swing, we think of the dance.
It's everybody it's an ensemble sound. Everybody at once, not just thin orchestration, but everybody playing tutti. But they're not all playing the melody. They're playing harmony parts and everything. And you get that big fat sound. Then you get a rhythm section that swing and right figures that swing for the instruments. Yeah. Accent.
I can hear it. Yeah.
You know, you're making something happening. It's just not a bunch of notes on paper.
Right.
You're making it music.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Have you ever heard the term, the genre New Jack Swing?
No.
It was more of an urban sound from the early 90s. And it's distinct. And I always wondered if they go together, but I guess we won't find that out here.
I don't know.
Yeah. When you think about the best you've ever done, Sammy at his best, what songs come to mind that you've done? Or arrangements? Maybe you
I
arranged
did some, boy, I've done so many big overtures and so on, you know. I did something called the Swing Phonic Collection. Instead of symphonic, I called it swing phonic.
Right.
And I used a symphony orchestra and a jazz band at the same time.
Yeah.
Play as one unit.
Wow.
We recorded those in Europe. But I have some pretty Hollywood type things too, themes. The one that Castellanos that I like best because he had such a great orchestra and a great conductor. Because I think I did from the movie It's My Turn. I did a real, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
And you get an idea of what that was one of my sounds. And I think it touches your heart.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to make the harp and the instruments talk to you, you know. And my wife and Deanne, they say, I can tell you it because you touch us with your music. And I try to, of course, it takes your heart. You give your heart. When I wrote the Marines hymn, I was a Marine. I ended up in the United States Marine Corps and worked at the White House under Kennedy and Johnson and presidents. I wrote some things there. I wrote the Marines hymn there. I remember someone said, boy, that touched my heart. Well, that's what I was intending to do.
Yeah.
See, and how you put this tune and what you surround it with. What key do you put it in? You put it high, low, slow, fast. See?
Yeah, you're making me think.
Yeah.
John Philip Sousa's music still works.
All right. He's a march king.
Right.
He's a march, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that isn't what I was after, but I did write for that concert band.
Right. Yeah.
But I try to make it almost sound like an orchestra.
Yeah.
You know, you can't because there's no string.
But you guys are writing for the same group of players.
Yes. Good musicians.
Yeah.
Boy, I love when the musicians, I said, boy, you're making me sound good.
Let me. I want to say this to the audience so they can understand. What I'm saying is that the March King, the person who's as famous as you can be as a musician, wrote music for the same group of players that Sammy did, and they approached it differently. You wrote more of an orchestral kind of thing.
Yes.
And he wrote a march.
Yeah.
That's remarkable already. Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here, and if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it. What I'm saying is that the March King, the person who's as famous as you can be as a musician, wrote music for the same group of players that Sammy did, and they approached it differently. You wrote more of an orchestral kind of thing.
Yes.
And he wrote a march.
Yeah.
That's remarkable already. I mean, again, you're in a life full of remarkable moments.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if traditional instruments, trumpet, clarinet, all these things that would be in a symphony, does that music have longer legs maybe than modern music? Because modern music seems to evolve so fast.
I don't know. I think it's all permanent, you
Okay.
know. Yeah. I can't give you a good answer there. But there's some old music that takes. I remember writing some. I went to the colonel. I said, I have something I want to write for trumpets,
Yeah.
to feature trumpets for your concert. And he liked fast music, see? So he said, well, how's it go? I said, and I'm singing all these fast notes, and he liked it.
Yeah.
And we recorded, they're tonguing and playing, slurring, and he liked it. It was called Brassman's Holiday. Yeah. So it was nice.
I love it.
Yeah, and the trumpets stand out front, and the people in the audience loved seeing all of them at once.
Yeah.
So
What are the trumpet players, though? I mean, like you're saying, you're calling it, Brassman's Holiday. When they come up and talk to you, do they
they love playing it because now they're showing off.
Yeah.
It's part. I love being a part of a trombone choir.
Right.
Oh, I think so mellow trombones are so pretty.
Yeah.
Can be pretty, or bold.
Yeah.
Bum, ba, bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, 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 bum, bip, bum. The chair's on, So it can do. I love trombone. I love my instrument, trombone, but there's so many gorgeous instruments in the orchestra, and you find a way to have them talk and combine them. Sometimes two separate instruments playing the same line becomes a new sound.
Yeah.
See, an English horn playing with a clarinet is going to sound a lot different than a clarinet or English because it's combination.
Yeah.
So that's what I call orchestration.
Okay.
You take the instruments and you re-orchestrate them to give you a sound. If you want a haunting, sad or haunting or humorous sound, maybe a piccolo playing with a bassoon, that might be humorous. Or you can make sad music. What does it call for? What do you want your music to say? Is it going to be romantic, brilliant? Is it going to be motivate you, for a march or something, or a fanfare? So that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at music. What can I do? What does this music have to say to the audience?
What about instruments like the guitar, like the violin, harmonica, where it's so specific to the player? I mean, if you're playing within
Yeah, that is. See, so there you're really featuring, you love this instrument and you like the way this guy can play, or the woman, girl, can play it. So you've written, sometimes I start a vocalist instead of starting with the orchestra, just a vocalist and one guitar.
Yeah.
And the guitar arpeggiates.
Yeah.
A classical guitar
Right.
arpeggiating. See, that's a nice sound.
Yeah.
It's quiet, pretty. When the bossa nova.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
Oh, weren't they beautiful?
Yeah.
Those things that, what's his name there? did were so beautiful. I love them. They're on my iTouch. I listen to them when I'm going for my walks, and how the guitar blends in perfectly for that kind of idiom.
Yeah.
The bossa nova. Oh, I love it. And the rhythm is so quiet, and with brushes.
Yeah.
And on the drum and the bass, boom, 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 boom. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you can set moods no matter what. What do I want to say with this tune? Or this tune's been written so many times, people are tired of it. I want to give it a new suit of clothes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a new suit of clothes.
Yeah, it's you composers are brilliant, because I was the other day I was at a orchestra, and I'm trying to think of who the guy was, but it was the last piece of music he wrote. You might be able to think of it with me here. And part of his movement, he had a waltz movement, because that's what it was, but it was written in 5/6. So it's like this, and it was supposed to be, it's beautiful, but yet it's kind of ugly because of this 5/6 time. Yeah.
So it was off meter
Tchaikovsky,
kind.
that's what it was. Tchaikovsky used his last symphony.
Yeah.
And everything's off a little bit, and it's like it's his struggle with life that he's putting into his music. Because who writes something in 5/6?
I know, nobody. Right.
Yeah.
But yes, sometimes I've taken things and made jazz waltzes out of a 4/4 tune,
Right.
And it's choo, choo, choo,
Yeah.
choo, and it's still pretty, long melodies, but the rhythm is choo, 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 choo. I love that.
Yeah.
And then you can give it a whole new rhythmic treatment or harmonic treatment. It depends on what do I want to say with this tune.
How long has it been since you've used something that's not in your wheelhouse, like a fugue or maybe like a disco line or something like that? How often do you do that?
Yeah, I do it when it's once in a while, because I say, this should be, let's state the theme and then write a counter theme against it. And now we're back into Palestrina or Bach, with the counterpoint. And I think Bach was a genius, you know. And it's nice to hear something counterpoint instead of saturation, everything saturated. Now all you have is two lines.
Yeah.
And each one is important, and they're played simultaneously. I think that's a nice idea.
If you had Bach sitting next to Count Basie in today's time, would they still be, they would still be musical geniuses, right? They just wouldn't be limited by what was
but
there.
Basie plays everything in, let me say it, it's going to sound like 12/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas Bach would be playing, he'd be playing 16s.
Yeah.
But Basie is funny. He sits there and you don't even know he's working. And he has, I think he was born with radar in his feet.
Yeah.
He has rhythm that's just a natural thing with him. See, and everybody doesn't have that. But he has that style, and that band sounds like one. They all play the same feeling. Nobody's a star all by himself. It's all that we're all playing together.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I wrote for Woody Herman. I played with Woody Herman. So there were some other jazz bands that were real good.
Yeah.
Different than Basie. I loved Woody Herman's band.
Do you like a tight band or a loose band?
I think a tight band, although the black bands play real loose.
Yeah.
Real loose with everything. But it sounds right. Everything sounds right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what Basie has.
We had Sly Stone on the show.
Yeah.
And he wrote that song, Hot Fun in the Summertime.
Yeah.
And nobody cares when they show up in that song. It is because it's hot and it's fun and it's summer and it's just like the time is what it is for that person because it's too hot to get there on time.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I think if I'm doing an album for a young lady, I find out which tunes she wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this lady, she wanted all torch, what we call torch tunes.
Yeah.
They're real sad.
Mm-hmm.
My man left me,
Yeah.
you know. And so you've got to find something to fit that, but you can't be, it depends on the tempo, you know. Normally that would not be a fast tempo. And I did them with that. And we had strings, horns, woodwinds. Oh, what a lovely orchestra.
Yeah.
I could make beautiful music with those strings or the woodwind,
Yeah.
you know. So,
Did you ever get a chance to work with Henry Mancini?
what about Henry?
Did
I
you
liked him.
Did you get to work with him ever or no?
Never got to work with him. One time I played for him. I had an orchestra. We played at one of the jazz seminars. I liked Henry. You know, he grew down the highway from where I did.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I was in North Side Pittsburgh, right near the Ohio River.
Yeah.
And if you take the Ohio River, 30, 40 miles, Aliquippa, Ambridge, that's where he was.
Huh.
And he studied off some of the guys I did.
Yeah.
He started off Max Atkins. So I thought he brought a new level,
It's
a new
remarkable.
kind of music. They wrote dramatic music in those days.
Yeah.
But he brought it with Henry Mancini flavor. He used bass flutes. No one ever used bass. He used a different orchestration.
Yeah.
Bass alto flutes and stuff. And, one time...
You have to, wait, hold on. You have to really be fearless to grab these other instruments and these other tones. Like a bass sax is kind of scary, but a bass flute has got to be, how do you even...
how wonderful.
Yeah.
I have some on my arrangement. I'll play it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened is, was his producer was married to, who's the famous singer? Anyhow,
yeah.
doggone it, that bothers me that I forget.
Yeah.
Because I knew his name. He liked what Henry did.
Yeah.
So he hired Henry to do this new show, Peter Gunn.
Yeah.
It was a detective show, but he used the bass flutes, boo, 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 and alto flutes and different kind of music. And he said, I'm going to bring it to New York to let the people in charge hear what we've done with this Peter Gunn.
Yeah.
They said, we like the show, but we don't like the music. It's got to go. He said, no.
Yeah, no.
No. He said, this is all one. That music stays because he liked that music.
Yeah.
Henry gave it something fresh, and it was good. He won Grammys and Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And they didn't know the difference. They took Moon River out of Breakfast at Tiffany's. They took that tune out,
Yeah.
So that shows you what they know.
Yeah.
So anyhow, he said, no. So there's a producer that stuck up for what he did. And he said, no, it's all one.
Well, and look what Henry Mancini does. I mean, he does The Streets of San Francisco. That theme song is still cool to this day. It sounds like Cops.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's just like, and that's just one of a zillion songs. How much work did you do with TV theme songs?
Very little.
Very little.
But I liked Henry's writing.
Yeah.
And I knew him, but I didn't know him real close up. And that if I'd have only known in Pittsburgh, we weren't that far away.
Yeah.
And we even knew the same people.
Yeah.
But I heard of them, but I didn't know them.
You did work with Quincy, though. You guys worked together and everything.
I worked with Quincy a whole lot.
Yeah.
I worked with Quincy on The Color Purple and all kind of recordings.
Yeah.
I have all the records and things. I can give you a lot of material. I'll have Deanne make sure we get you enough material. And it doesn't have to be forever long, but it have to be little things that you hear what I've done with Quincy and so on.
Well, that's when Quincy calls you to work with him, that's the ultimate award. That's better than a Grammy. He's got dozens of Grammys. Sometimes
Quincy's protected by so many people. One time, I kept trying to get in touch with him, and I don't do that too often.
Right.
I don't call him too often. I try to get in touch with him, and they kept putting me off to see him. Mm-hmm. And a week or two later, I got a call from Quincy Jones' office in Burbank there, and they said, Quincy wants to talk to you. I said, what are we going to talk about? The weather? We're not going to talk about this tune because I wrote it already.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get in touch with you, and you wouldn't let me talk to him. So we're not going to talk about if Quincy wants me, but we're going to talk about the weather or something. Huh?
Yeah.
Boy, I was angry.
I bet.
I was angry. And you know what? Quincy was so sweet. He said, okay, calm down.
Yeah.
And he called me. He said, "Now I want this tune. Do. I forget. Anyhow, he said, I want to like Duke Ellington. I said, okay, I can write that Duke Ellington song.
Yeah.
Then he put it out with electric rhythm. They recorded the rhythm part and sent me the rhythm part and said, write the arrangement over this rhythm.
Right.
I said, Quincy, this isn't Duke Ellington. This is some contemporary rhythm section playing.
Yeah.
You know, how do you want this? You want? I can write it either way. You know.
Yeah.
But see, it's what you're after. He wanted Duke Ellington. That wasn't Duke Ellington. Electric piano.
What did you guys end up with then? Did you end up with Duke Ellington or?
No. I did that with. Believe it or not, with the electronic piano, but then we added the plunger trumpet and some of the instruments.
Yeah.
That was the English, the British, God darn, why can't I remember name? Singer name. He was big.
Yeah.
And I did it like a smattering of both. I used the electric rhythm, but I used that wah, and different instruments behind them. My wife would know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's their job. They always know the things that you're like, damn it. I mean, you're still writing music. You were sitting down playing with the keyboard now.
Yeah. I'm not a keyboard player, really.
Fiddling with it,
I'm a trombonist.
Yeah.
See, I can play enough piano to.
But do you sit like in the backyard and like go?
Sometimes in the backyard, with headphones.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're at the piano.
Right.
And I hear the orchestra in the morning. I wake up hearing the orchestra. I've dreamed about some things.
Yeah.
And I have good, I have great ears.
Yeah.
And I hear that, and I hear the orchestra. And sometimes I can write just listening to the orchestra in my head.
Yeah.
And writing it down.
I think I'm a bit of a failed composer myself because everything to me is a song. I probably sing a song if my daughter is home, and she's older, so I don't always see her. But I sing songs to her, just simple melodies like, hey, it's Brenna. Brenna is the best. I do that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I think in a different lifetime, it easily could have been that I would have been a composer because I don't shut the melodies off. I just sing them out loud. And sometimes I don't realize I'm singing them out loud.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, hey, that's a nice song. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I love
Is that how
melody.
you do it, though? Is it just there and you just make it real from what's in your head?
I love melody. Tchaikovsky was the greatest melodist, huh? And Mozart, beautiful melodies,
Boy.
you know.
Yeah.
Beethoven.
Yeah.
Beethoven. I like to go through his wastebasket
Yeah.
and find out what he threw away.
Yeah, no kidding.
I could learn a lot from his
The things for him
wastebasket.
that weren't good enough were great. You know. Did anybody modern resonate with you at all, or when does your musical timeline sort of like change? I mean, obviously you're not listening to mumble rap and things like that, but what modern music kind of sticks with you?
I'm not modern just for the sake of modern.
Yeah.
So I don't even think in those terms. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be sorry
But I'm
about.
not thinking old music is the only music. There's some good new things out there. Hey, buddy, how you doing? What was that English singer that Quincy and I wrote for? Do nothing till you hear from me.
Oh, Phil Collins. I was going to say Phil Collins. I should have just said it.
Yeah, I wrote that one.
Okay.
And I wrote it with electric. I have the record.
Which song was it?
Electric rhythm, but with the, well, hell, I could play it for you in an instant if I could find it there. We're having a pretty good conversation here. It's,
What about
except
Gordon
I'm old and I forget things.
What about Gordon Goodwin?
Gordon Goodwin is the, well, he has the best band in the world right now.
Oh, okay.
I think the best bands are in the military, really, but he has the best orchestra in the world right now, and he is fabulous. He doesn't line himself up in a certain way. He writes He writes Gordon Goodwin. He writes his own.
Yeah.
You know, he really is singular in it, that he doesn't write like I model himself after anybody. I think he is the best writer of all. I really like knowing him and listening to his music, and we talk from time to time. I have some of his stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I met you, we were at the president's own band.
Yeah.
And then the maestro, Baton 6, Brian Dix, was with us. I don't know how well you know Brian, but he ran the Commandant's band for a long time. And when they played your song, and I wanted to make sure I said this to you before I forgot about it, your song moved me. I mean, I was already in a great mood, but I love live music, and I struggle to hear things now because my ears have just been blown up so many times from war.
Thank you.
But music like that, it's at a pace that I can take, and it just moves me. And it was such a beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
When did you write that?
I don't even remember what you're talking about. Hey, here, let me see I'll see what I got here.
If I could bring back any of the old maestros, whether it's Count Basie or Bach, who do you want to sit in a room with and have a conversation?
Either Beethoven or Mozart.
Yeah?
Yeah, to me.
Why?
Because they're such genius. They aren't just talented. They're such genius. Mozart was such a genius. And Beethoven, he has a variety. Everything that he does is so, and I've studied his music and just, he's, I don't know how he was created, but he's so high in my estimation. Such a brain.
Yeah.
How did he do that?
One of the, my musical scholar is a guy named Robert Greenberg. He teaches people about just, literate music, written music, like Bach and Beethoven, Wagner. And he was saying that Beethoven was writing music for the piano, but the piano didn't exist. So he was writing on a 60-something key keyboard.
That could be.
And he was like, but there's music over here. I know it. So he wrote music for an instrument. That's how good his brain was. He was able to think another generation down in terms of pianos.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
And think he had to do it all being deaf.
Yeah.
But in the mornings when I wake up, I hear the whole orchestra.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come down and jot something down from memory from what I slept,
Yeah.
I'm going to get Deanne to give you some things.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
getting
good.
a little tired.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's just wrap it up. So let me just say this. First off, you're a treasure. And if no one tells you that every day, that it's a shame. You are a treasure.
Thank
your
you.
your book is called Sammy Nestico, The Gift of Music.
Oh no, it's called The Gift of Music.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just saying you're the author.
Okay, yeah.
Sammy Nestico.
This
The
is
Gift of
just
Music.
this is the stories. These are stories about my life
Yeah.
and the gift.
Yeah.
You know,
And again, you're the
and
gift.
the people I met.
Yeah.
You know, the movie people, everybody that I work with, Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
You know, that's stories. Now that other one,
Yeah.
it is really
yeah.
what a book that
the
is.
complete arranger, revised
That's
edition.
the
from Sammy
complete
Nestico.
arranger.
Yeah.
That's. I even made the pages with hardly any margins, so I could make the notes bigger.
Right.
And there are examples in there, and then open it up, will you?
Sure.
Look in the back page.
This is a
way
big book
at the
for
back
everybody.
of the book. No,
Keep going further
going.
back?
You aren't. Keep going.
Oh.
There. That's what's in the book.
Yeah.
You can read, you can hear it,
Yeah.
and see it.
2 CDs.
And that's the way I learned a lot. I would listen to Tommy Dorsey
Yeah.
or Beethoven or whoever, and then I'd get the score and look and see what he did.
Yeah.
And that's what I taught out of at the University of Georgia, out of that book.
Yeah.
See, it's just music, but every one of those are recorded on that CD in the
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
so that we can all listen and
this is what people
see
pick
what the notes are.
Yeah. So if you've got a young composer in the house, you buy this book. This is the Bible, right
It's
here.
the Bible. That's
Sammy
exactly right.
Nestico, who is
Here, let me see something here.
Sure.
There's a tune called "Spring Is Here."
Uh-huh.
I want to show you what I think spring sounds like.
All right, let's do it.
See, but I gotta find. It's hard in all this music
Yeah.
to find anything.
Here, let me put this
But
back.
I would love you to hear and you hear it. You'll say,
love it.
"What is that?"
Yeah.
You know.
It's spring.
And that's my idea of spring.
Well, listen, thanks for coming on the show.
You know,
Yeah.
and it grows.
Yeah.
I'm so
Well, I
sorry
can't wait
that
to-
I couldn't give you more time, but I'll come back and we can do some more.
Please, let's do it. Well, anyhow, for this time right now, thank you so much.
Okay.